Hello, dreamers and thinkers, and welcome back to another episode of Undone. On today's podcast, I am joined by a dear friend. She's a social worker, FGM survivor, advocate, and all-round Instagram baddie, if you have the privilege of being able to follow her. Welcome, Fatu Sillah.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I think this is going to be a fun day.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get started,
Yes.
I like to do a fun little segment called Unpopular Opinions.
Let's do it.
I asked her before we started recording if she had prepared hers. And this is what she came up with on the spot. I was like, you have to share that because that is definitely an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
You go first. What's your unpopular opinion?
My unpopular opinion is that I love folding fitted shit. Like, it's just the only way. Like, just making sure that those lines match. And then folding it properly and putting it in the cupboard. It's very satisfying.
And I think that is weird. I was like, what? After this, she's going to show me how to fold a fitted sheet with one of my sheets. Because I was like, the only reason you enjoy that is because you have a technique that works. No one enjoys folding a fitted sheet.
I feel like if you know how to do it, it makes your life so easier.
Exactly. The rest of us clearly do not, which is why people usually just like do the roll.
Yeah, the rolls.
Roll and shove.
That's what I'm going to show you. So you never have to do that again.
See? Learning.
Yeah,
I had to change my unpopular opinion after she told me hers because mine felt a bit too serious. So I've gone with one that's like less serious but still probably equally problematic.
Yeah, go on.
But mine is that I think people should hide their kids for like at least the first 6 months, just to let the kid grow into their face. Because I don't think kids are as cute as people think they are for the first 6 months.
So you're saying that they should hug them?
No, I said hide them.
Oh, hide them.
Don't post that kid on social media. If we have to see it in person, I mean, that's fine. But, like, your kid's not cute until after 6 months.
You know what? Funny thing, I do agree with you. Because me and my friend once talked about this, that some babies are just ugly. And then that's okay.
And that's okay. Let them grow into their face.
Yeah. After the 6 months, I think you can see their true beauty.
They look less like they just came freshly out of a vagina,
yeah.
I feel. And they look more like a human being. So.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that a little bit. But every baby is beautiful.
Absolutely, in theory.
Theory?
Theoretically, every baby.
Okay. That's because we're not a mom yet.
Oh my god, my mom always says that, like, she has that whole African belief of, like, anything you laugh at someone for your child having, like, your child's going to have. And so I do get scared sometimes. So I'm like, I do be laughing at ugly babies.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Lord, I couldn't go through 9 months and give birth to an ugly child.
Can you imagine looking at that? And you're like, that's my baby.
But then the thing is, the beauty of the hormones and the birthing process is that you think they're beautiful regardless.
Oh, that's it. It just, well, they're yours at that point. What are you going to do? Shove it back in your vagina? Like, what the... Yeah. Just learning to accept them.
That's my baby. That's mine. I'm going to stick beside it.
Okay. Yeah, mate. It's too late for that.
Okay, so moving on to more serious parts.
Let's do it.
So in an interview, I feel like you've done some stuff actually.
Yeah.
On like with media, but this was a podcast interview I heard.
Yeah.
And you referred to yourself as a hustler, and I feel like you said it multiple times when we've been on the phone. You're just like, I'm a hustler. And honestly, guys, this girl really is a hustler. Like the things that she's been able to achieve and the things she works hard for, impressive. But I want to challenge you. What other words, if you can give me like 3, would you use to describe yourself apart from hustler?
I think I'll just probably use goal driven.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
No?
That's still the same thing as hustler. Try again. And you thought you could get it by the loophole. Try again.
Oh my god. What other word could I use besides hustler and goal driven? Just determined? Is that the same word?
That's still the same family as hustler.
I don't know. What other word can I use? Achiever?
Girl, that is...
I'm sorry. What other word can I use? I don't know. What other word can I use?
Can I give you one?
Yeah, give me one.
Bougie. I think bougie works.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think bougie, wouldn't bougie be like the way I am and how I carry myself?
Yeah, but that's a word to describe you.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Bougie.
Well, there you go, bougie.
That's only one, and I gave it to you. Try again. At least give me one more. That cannot be a synonym of hustler.
Okay. Okay. All right. No worries. Let me try. What other words can I use? Bougie. That's one. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't think of.
Okay. We'll stick with bougie.
Yeah.
I'll let you have it.
Yeah. I'll take that one. Yeah.
Okay. So, for those who don't know you, if you could give a little background of just where you were born, what your family was like growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
So I was born in Liberia, funny, during Civil War. But my mom is from Senegal and my dad is from Mali. And my grandfather, my mom's side, they settled in Sierra Leone. So that's where all my uncles and my aunties were raised, but still have extended family in Senegal and Mali. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just pretty much everywhere. But that's my back, yeah.
So what do you identify as?
I identify as Senegalese. Because I feel like even if I say I'm from Sierra Leone people be like, no, you're not. Because of the name and the last names.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your first name is from where?
So first name is definitely Senegalese.
Is Senegalese?
Yeah,
okay.
Fatu
And then last name
Sillah is Senegal as well.
Senegalese
Yeah.
as well. Okay.
Yeah.
But you were born in Liberia.
Liberia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And like, how many siblings do you have?
I have 3 siblings. So my mom had my brother with her first previous husband, and my dad married 2 wives, obviously, and my mom is the second wife. So
I love how you said obviously.
because Muslim family, mate, 3 to 4 wives.
Yeah.
Maximum is 4 wives. So so my dad's first wife has 4 kids.
Yeah.
And then 3 of them live in France and 1 live in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, and my siblings, 1 is in Guinea and the other one is in Sierra Leone as well.
So your mum is the second wife?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's the second
Yeah,
wife, and
and
you're the second child.
Yeah, I'm the mid child. Yeah. So my mom had my brother with another man and me and my sister for my dad.
Yeah. How would you describe your relationship with your parents? Because I guess you probably saw more of your mum than you did your dad growing up.
Yeah, my dad was a miner, so he used to just come and go as as any miner person would do. Yeah, so my relationship with my parents wasn't the best relationship. I don't know, there was not love and there was no connection.
Yeah.
Mom wasn't around as much, dad wasn't around as much either. So I ended up spending most of my early childhood with my stepsister in Cote d'Ivoire. Then came back. So I think I spent 4 years with her or something in Cote d'Ivoire, then moved back to Guinea with my mom, but it was just not the same. Yeah.
And you didn't see your mum as much because she was working, or?
She was working, but she traveled a lot as well. So my mom used to do it's called baseng, which is like making their own fabric and design. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she used to do that in Sierra Leone, and then she used to sell that. So she used to travel back and forth from Sierra Leone to Guinea, and then Cote d'Ivoire or Senegal or Mali and stuff like that, selling those things. So I never used to see her.
Just as a side note, do you think that your mum's job has had any influence on like your love for fashion and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I always say that growing up, seeing my grandmother and my grandfather and my step grandmother, My
I
grandfather.
have a step grandma too,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
didn't know she was my step grandma. For the longest, I was like, oh, that's just Gogo. Like, she's just. And then at one point, I got old enough. I was like, why do I have 3 grandmothers?
Yeah, yeah. You learn to be like, yeah, that was my step grandmother. I had 3 of them. So yeah, so I used to see them like in the compound in Freetown, just doing the basen thing. So, like, it was just something part of the culture, like weddings, naming ceremonies, any little event, you know, you see it. And I was part of making some of them as well. So yeah, seeing quality clothes that last long and see how people embrace it made me have so much love for fashion and quality fashion, in to be exact.
To be specific, because like I think when you're seeing people making things like fresh, you have an appreciation for like real fabric and real fashion.
We didn't have much, but people spend thousands of dollars on a good fabric just to be like, you know, you see them with the gold necklace, gold bangles, and you know the big scarf. It was it was amazing. I think that's where I got my fashion sense and appreciation for really good quality things, because you can wear it multiple times as well.
So you said you at some point, so between what ages did you live with your stepsister? And was she the only step sibling that you had a relationship with, or did all your father's children have a good relationship with each other?
I don't think it was a good relationship, to be honest. I just think that I was just thrown into the deep end, because I didn't even know her at the time. So she got married to my cousin, my dad's brother's son. And then after they got married, they were moving to Cote d'Ivoire. And then I think that was how I ended up moving there with her. I think quote unquote for better life, but it wasn't actually a better life, if that makes sense, because she was a child herself and then looking after me, and the husband was a child himself as well. So it was just made the whole situation worse.
So to like provide more context, how old were her and her husband, and like how old were you? I'm
pretty sure they were like 19, and I was like under 10. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was under 10. Probably I would say I was probably 8 years old at the time.
So were you given like to her for her to care for you so that your parents could continue working and know that you were like taken care of?
No, I was just given to her to help her. To help her
mature.
Just to help her in her marriage home. That's what they used to call it. Like when someone get married, and they'd be like, oh, why don't you move in with your sister to help her in her, like, you know, wedding homes, like things like that.
Okay. I think we potentially have something similar in Shona culture.
Yeah.
So was it like to help her with like doing the things around the house?
Correct.
So, like the cleaning, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and if she give birth, then you'll be there to help her with the kids and things like that.
Okay, yep. I get that. Wow, but you were so young. How did you process it at the time, and how do you process it now looking back?
I don't think I processed it at the time, because I just didn't know what I was at the time and what I was in for. Yeah, because the decision was made on my behalf, and I think as an 8-year-old, I wasn't even part of, like, I didn't have thinking. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I was just going with the flow, if that makes sense. Like,
you're still a kid, like, you're just doing what you're told to do.
Yeah, and that's your stepsister or your sister, and you're like, oh yeah, she's gonna give me a good life, or, you know, look after me.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best, but it wasn't that or that, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how I want to ask this one. What is your favorite childhood memory that you think still really resonates with who you are now? I can give an example from my own life. I really love Christmas and like family gatherings now, because Christmas was always such a like really beautiful time. Like in England, Christmas was such a beautiful time. Like it's all festive, and all my family and I lived near each other, and so we always knew that like every Christmas all the cousins would be together, we'd all be hanging out, we'd all be having a good time. And so like when I look back on my favorite childhood memories, they were all created around Christmas time. And even now, I think that's why I really prioritize like gatherings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
must be nice.
No. You don't have any favorite childhood memories?
I actually don't. Like, I feel like the only best childhood memory I had would be like maybe just dancing under the rain, and spending time with my girlfriends. Like, I didn't grow up in a safe, happy home environment. Yeah, so that was never like, I don't have any good memories of my family, if that makes sense. Like, there was no love, there was no celebration. Like, we had a celebration, like, which was Eid, and yeah, celebrating that. But even that, thinking back at it, I'm like, I was just a lost person that was just existing for the point of existing. Yeah, but just going out, like, I would probably say leaving my family house and going somewhere else was my part of growing up, best part, because I just felt like I felt safer at other people's home than my own home. Yeah, and they gave me some kind of joy and security and fun than my family.
Than your family.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's really deep, girl.
I know. That's what I say. It must be nice. How does it feel to be God's favorite child?
Stop. So were both sides of your family, like your mom's side and your dad's side, Muslim?
Yeah.
So you grew up in a
Yeah.
Muslim household,
Very big Muslim household. I used to go to like Quran school in the morning, learn my prayer verses, and the imam there used to like, because in Quran and stuff like that, when you studying it, you need to like pronounce everything like exactly as it is. And then no, like early morning, you're just waking up and you're learning about like your Quran, and you don't pronounce it right, and then they'll just like beat you with some kind of wooden stick because you can't say the word right. So yeah, it was like that. And then you need to fast, during Ramadan. If you miss some fast, you just fast it after the Ramadan. Pray 5 times a day. And then wearing scarf as well, which I never did anyway, because that was, I think, I didn't want to do that because I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
And you didn't have to?
No, I didn't have to. I think that was the good thing, where I wasn't forced to do it, which was great. Yeah.
How do you think your Muslim upbringing influenced? Well, actually, no. I guess your parents.
Yeah.
Faith. How do you think that influenced how they parented or didn't parent you?
I don't know. Faith is something that I really don't like talking about, because I just feel like faith is something that people cover so much demonic stuff behind. Like, it didn't have any influence on me or growing up at all. Like, it was just like you holding on to hope, and I guess that's how they grew up as well. But it didn't do anything for me. It felt like more like a punishment for me growing up. Yeah. So I just, even now as an adult, I just don't, like, people that I surrounded myself with, or people that call themselves imam, were the most awful people that I've ever come across. Yeah. And then the people in my family as well, growing up with, who call themselves imam, or, all about holy and stuff, like, they were the most horrible people as well. And then they would do anything for the name of Allah. So as adult now, I'm just lost when it comes to believing in God.
Because you had such a traumatic experience.
Yeah. So I'm still finding my faith. I don't know if that's a thing, whatever. But
I think so. I think it's a journey.
I'm just being really open at the moment, and then learning about myself. Yeah.
So, did you go through FGM? Wait, okay, first of all, do you refer to it as FGM or FGC?
FGM. I think, honestly, I don't care. This came up in conversation as well during the time that I used to do public speaking. Some people, I think FGC, I don't know, circumcision is like, obviously it's fine, but also it can be anywhere. But I feel like
C stands for cutting now.
Yeah,
like female genital cutting.
Oh no, instead of circumcision. Okay. Yeah, I just call it what it is. It's mutilation.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, let's not try to make it politically correct. That's what it is.
Yeah, man. Let's call it what it is. Like, it is mutilation. Simple.
Yeah.
So I call it FGM.
How old were you when that happened?
This happened when I was 5 years old, just before I moved to Cote d'Ivoire with my stepsister.
Is that the normal? Not normal, but normal
that's
age?
Yeah, that's pretty normal age, from 5 to 6, 7. So from pretty much from 5 all the way to 10 to 12. Those are the range, age range, for to be mutilated. To be, yeah.
And as a child, what was your understanding of it, and two, what did you call it? Because I'm assuming they don't call it FGM when they're doing it.
No, they call it circumcision. That's what they call it when you're doing it to you. What my understanding was, like I knew as a 5 to 6 year old, I knew what it was, but also I didn't know what it was, if that makes sense. Only because it's like growing up in a culture where it's a celebration of full female or becoming a woman. So, yeah.
So does it have like a ceremony attached to it as well?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
So you're stuck between, I want to be a woman, also knowing this is also painful, but also you don't know whether it was the right thing to do. Yeah, so it's like, as a growing up, I have seen people obviously be mutilated as a female, and when you're not mutilated, you're considered as a man, because you have your clitoris. So, and then you're not allowed to be in part of certain society as an unmutilated girl.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How do people know you're unmutilated?
Oh, they will know because it's part of the community. Everyone knows because the ceremony take place, and then people will be like, yeah.
You know what? Another thing, okay, so my understanding, I feel, is probably quite limited.
Okay.
I feel like no disrespect to white people, but low key disrespect. I feel like such a white person because I read, is it Desert Flower?
Yeah, Desert Flower. Yeah.
So I read Desert Flower, and then there's a lady who's she's in the UK, and she makes like YouTube videos and TikToks on it. But I think they're both Somalian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Desert Flower. Yeah, and the other lady that I listened to is Somalian. Yeah. So I wasn't quite sure if it was like the same across all countries that practice FGM.
I'm pretty sure it's the same. It's all celebrating women, and becoming a woman. But in Sierra Leone and Guinea alone, it's just more like, it's like once you're mutilated, once you pass certain age, you get your period, then it means that you're ready for marriage. And men are taught to only marry women that are mutilated, which means that they haven't slept around, and they're virgin and they're clean. So FGM equal to being clean. That's what they call it. Yeah. So before you get married, or before someone come and ask your hand in marriage, that family would have communicated already with your family, and then be like, is your daughter circumcised? Because if she's not, then we're not going to marry her, or she has to be circumcised before we actually even pay her dowry. Yeah.
Wow. So wait, some women even undergo it at an older age.
Correct.
To get married.
Yeah, because sometimes it's very important to the husband's family side to make sure that the woman's clean.
How do you feel about the word clean being associated with virginity?
I fucking hate it. Yeah, like I said, growing up I didn't know what it was until now I'm an adult, obviously. Every single word hurts and then pissed me off because, yeah, I don't even know how to say it. Like, it's just taboo and it's awful experience, and it's really brainwashed as well, because for men to even look at you and be like, I'm not going to marry you because you're not circumcised or you're not clean, you must slept around with a lot of women or whatever men. It's kind of disgusting because they can sleep around but you can't.
But you can't,
you have to be a virgin, you have to be clean, you have to be
pure, you have to be,
You know, sometimes the women will even take you and make sure that they know that you're cut before they can be like, yep, she's the one. Because the thing is,
you mean like women from the man side of the family?
Yeah, correct. And even before you get married, you be like, people with like families will talk about you and be like, yeah, she's not circumcised yet, and then they'll talk to your family when now you're gonna do the circumcision, so that way we can start getting the wedding in
process. Wow.
Yeah, and then also becoming part of society, because once you're circumcised, everyone knows about it, everyone celebrates in the community. It's a fucking group thing, you know. You're all wearing a sobi, you know.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah. How do you feel about young children being given an awareness of their sexuality. Or I guess not really being, because it's kind of like your sexuality is being stripped.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you're being given an awareness of your sexuality as it's being stripped. Because at the age of 5, you shouldn't really be thinking about being clean and pure for a man. Like, what does, you're like, I mean, I showered tonight. Like,
yeah, define that. Yeah. So, yeah. I just think it's gross because I didn't know anything about like body positivity or being like celebrating my body or my sexuality in general, because it was not I was not given a platform or education about it. It's just become a taboo to talk about even your sex life or your body part to anyone. The
Yeah.
only time you're celebrated sexually is when you done the FGM, and then you're doing this a full tribe ceremony to just be like, yep, she's circumcised. And then funny thing is, everyone in the town know about it, including the boys.
So like,
yeah,
oh, what's the word? I mean, vulnerable is part of the like, you must feel so exposed.
yeah. But I think at that time you don't know.
Because because you're surrounded by a community that also believe and practice this, so it's like it's normal.
Yeah. Like you're not self-aware at all. Like you just like, okay, cool. Like at that age, for me, it was just like, yeah, sure. Like as much as I didn't want to do it, but I'm like, fuck, if I do it, then I'll be part of society and I'll be celebrated. I'll be respected.
I have belonging.
Yeah. And that's what you crave for at the time. And then now as a woman, you're like, what the fuck was that? I was actually getting. There was second time they wanted to mutilate me, and I have a scar here.
Yeah.
That scar was the second time. I remember running in my friend's compound in Guinea because a lady thought I wasn't mutilated, so she wanted to circumcise me again. I remember running from the bathroom all the way to the gate, and I scratched myself on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Because I was running for my life, and then that fear still live within me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because of, I'm like, no way, I'm going through this again. Yeah, because any woman can catch you and be like, yeah, and then your mom just pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not for free as well. Yeah.
No, and it's the people who are practicing the procedure aren't necessarily. They're not like, it's not like you can be licensed, accredited, or anything like it's just like old aunties and grandmas type of situation who are just like, it's been passed on for generations. Wow. So moving from where we're is that where you is that where you moved from to Australia, or?
No, I moved from Cote d'Ivoire to Guinea, and now from Guinea then I moved to Australia.
Okay, so moving from Guinea to Australia, how did being in a different environment change how you saw, like, having gone through FGM? Because I guess once you get to Australia, it's... When did you have an awareness that this wasn't normal?
Oh, cool. That's a good idea. Good question.
Thank you.
It's okay. When did I have an awareness? So I was dating a guy at the time. I don't know, 2007. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
And you're in Australia at this point?
Yeah. Sorry, I lied. 2013. So I was seeing this guy who went to a TED talk. I think Khadija. She did a TED talk about FGM, and she lived in Adelaide. So that guy came back to me. He's like, hey, I went to TED Talk, I saw this lady and I thought of you. And then I reached out to Khadija because at the time she was the only one that was really vocal about FGM.
Yeah.
And at the time I was not sure about myself because I was in community that still even in Australia was not talking about it. And I remember going to hair salon where I was trying to talk about sex or FGM. I remember one time a friend of mine told me you should engage in sex conversation because you don't even know how orgasm feel like. So that would never those times. So and because you're mutilated and
wow.
Yeah. So that was a bit harsh. And then I think that was when I started. I think I remember even I was at one of my 10 jobs. And I sat there and
we need to get to that later. She said one of my 10 jobs because this girl really done had 50 jobs in her life.
No shit. I sent Khadija, I think it was Facebook message and explaining, I'm like, hey, I've been through this. It's really good to see that you're talking about it and then blah, blah, blah. And that's how we met. And then through Khadija and they had their own FGM website at the time. So I joined it, and then I think it was kind of like healing process as well. As much as I was scared to talk about my experience because I didn't know how I was going to be judged, but also how I was going to be accepted within the community, that I was just finding of like just literally finding a belonging.
Yeah.
How they would treat me. But I reached out anyway, and then literally started it. Then I started doing advocacy, and then just embracing and then healing through it, and then doing more experience about my body through FGM, what the cause of FGM is, how many people out there is affected as well. And then that also made me a bit content, a little bit, knowing that it was not just me out there that was affected by this taboo, but a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was when you started. Wow, that's so interesting that whoever you were dating at the time was like,
yeah,
I thought about you.
But because I'm so honest when I get into relationship with men, because I'm like, hey, it's a kind of awkward conversation, but also not awkward. I feel like the old me used to shy away from sexual and things like that. But as I get older, I learn to embrace who I am, and then all my fault and imperfection. So if I'm seeing someone, I'll just be honest. I'm like, hey, I am circumcised. I don't feel orgasm like everyone else. Like, it just doesn't snap your finger and I'll feel orgasm. So, we need to talk about it if I'm going to be in a long-term relationship with you. So it's kind of like being open right there and then. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. So we're not wasting each other's time.
No, I love that, as it should be. Has it... I guess, that's happened over time. Have you had any, not bad... Yeah, I guess bad is the word I'm going to go with. Yeah. Like bad situations when you've been honest like that?
No, actually, no. I always ask men when I date men, I'm like, do you know what FGM is? And most of them do. Because I just feel like I always pick guys that are self-aware, also, and then very cultured as well, so which is good to know. So it's kind of like literally 2-minute conversation. Yeah, so it makes it easier, and also I'm not a shy away from it. Like it's not an awkward conversation.
No, it's a part of your story.
Yeah, so I try to make it as open as possible, where I feel comfortable, but also I know that I have to be safe around you for me to share that with you.
Yeah.
So it's just not like, I meet you today and I'll share it with you today. No, I have to make sure that I know that this is going somewhere, and if it's not, that's okay as well.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to educate people, and then that just only started happening again when I started talking about FGM. Because I never used to talk about it because it was taboo. You can't talk about it.
So how old were you when you reached out to Khadija?
I think I was about, maybe 1920.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
So that's actually a lot earlier than I thought.
Yeah.
So so how old were you when you moved to Australia?
I moved to Australia when I was 13 years old, 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what was the story of
moving to Australia?
Moving to Australia, I guess.
What was the story? What was not the story? I don't know. I just call myself a lucky child half the time. I call myself, when you're like middle child syndrome, you're just there. You're like literally existing because you're...
Wow, I said with such conviction, knowing I'm the oldest child. But I have heard a lot from middle children. I can empathize.
We're literally like, no one sees us. We're just there in the corner, you're not loved, you're not hate, you're just there. So my mom, like I was beginning, they used to travel a lot. We never had a relationship, so they used to leave me in the place that we used to live and then go to Sierra Leone or any other country with my other siblings. So I always used to be left behind. But one day anyway, I happened to be there, and one of this guy just walked into the compound and then gave my mom a paper. It was just like the humanitarian visa, refugee visa thing. And at first I thought it was a joke. Like even my mom didn't know what it was.
That's not normal, right?
No.
This man had gotten these papers on the black market or something.
Listen. When I tell you my life is a fluke, sometimes people probably think I'm laughing, but this is literally the story of it. And my mom just gave him $50. If that makes sense.
Because when I first heard this, I was like, I know for a fact this is not legit.
This is legit. It happened. It feels like yesterday. I'm like, when you're envisioning something, literally, I can see it right now. It's happening, and I was just there, and my mom just like, here's the money, and then that's it.
And then you had papers?
Yeah, with that, then I had the papers, and it was just, guess what? It was just me, because everyone else was traveling with my mom at the time when the interview was called. And then it was just me around and my uncle, who I don't talk to, by the way. Don't associate, so I came to Australia by myself. So just so everyone knows.
And it's just like, so that happened but didn't happen.
Yeah.
We're just going to ignore him from history.
Yeah. He's just not in history. So I pretty much came here so by myself, I think. Because, and then we went to the job, went to the interview process. Then so someone else replaced my brother, Mohammed. He lives in Brisbane. I have a good relationship with him. We speak here and there. So we end up coming to Australia, and that was the story of it. And then when we came to Australia, it was just like we had a social worker who was helping us for like 6 months straight, getting into the system, showing you around Australian life, how to vote. And when I turned 18, I pretty much applied for my own citizenship. I've just been going since then.
Yeah. Did you have to go through the process of going to language school?
Yeah.
How long do you spend in language school? That's what I want to know. Like, what is the process?
I was there for a year. So I went to the language school beginning of 2005. I remember that. It was Beverly Hills in Sydney. Intensive English Center, that's how it was called. It was Monday to Friday school. It was pretty cool actually, because there was a lot of refugee kids there that came to that school. So it was pretty much all refugee kids, and we didn't have to wear uniform. It was really fun actually, but it was just also very scary, because as a 13 you're learning a whole new language.
That's what I was going to say. So you're not learning anything else except for English?
Correct.
For a whole year, Monday to Friday?
Correct. But they will teach you some maths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
was that so that you knew the numbers in English?
Yeah, that was it, to know the numbers in English. So it still had different classes, but the whole purpose was to learn English and to write English. Mm. So it's like sounding, pronouncing words and all that, and then doing exams and things like that. Mm. And then after the year, if you're like you're very competent in English, then you move to high school.
Yeah. Do you think that year was long enough?
No, I don't think it was long enough, but also I hated the school. So I felt like, because your English is not good, it's a new country, you're being forced to learn something, and already I'm so tough on myself because I want to get the things done so perfection. So no getting where I need to be was frustrating, and I just felt like I was starting from zero again, and I didn't have a lot of support, so it made everything difficult. Yeah.
And then you went straight into what grade in high school?
That was the hard part. So it was because I was a bit older, so they wanted to put me in year 9, and I wanted to get to year 10 because I wanted to finish school quicker. But then I remember sitting down with this teacher at Blackton Girls High School, and then she's like, I think year 9 will be great because you can just still continue learning. But obviously 1 year learning English is still not enough. You just are high school now, like a mainstream school, and with people that grow up here, born here, speak proper English, and you're like, shit, like you know, I feel so shy. It's such a scary world where I was just in my own world, like so lost again. I remember just being there but not being there. Mentally I wasn't there. Like school finished, I just got home. I feel like I was so dumb. I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't know nothing. School was a long distance memory
But it's not because you were dumb, then it was you had been given 1 year.
Yeah, but also
to learn an entirely new language and then thrust into a school system that only uses that language.
Yeah, exactly.
I could not imagine trying to learn, because grade 9 algebra, early algebra, with having just learned English. It's the Da Vinci Code. It's I don't know what you're saying to me. I don't know what you're trying to. I don't understand.
I remember just going to the corner room and then just sitting there by myself, just eating lunch, because I was not verbal. I was shy. I think also that shyness comes from not being confident in English and people making fun of your language barriers and you know. So I was really
closed in, if that makes sense. Like I didn't want to be at school. I was there just because I needed to be there, not to be home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. How's the culture shock?
Very, very scary. Like very scary. There was few people that were black in school, but still their English were way better than yours.
It's
you can tell
different,
that they grew up here. They already established their sense of friendship, you know. So they're considered cool. You know, you're not cool. So you finding that yeah, it was really isolated. I feel that my school there was really traumatizing and then very depressing actually, and very lonely.
Yeah. Do you think that's a common like narrative for a lot of refugee kids? Because I think the process is still the same now.
Yeah.
In terms of you get here, you do language school, and then you get put into the mainstream school.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Yeah, I think the process can be better, but also it cannot be any better because it's just within you. Like it's just a different culture compared to where you come from. So to get used to that and adjust to the lifestyle and the people and your surrounding is really tough.
Yeah.
Because you're just lost. Like you have no family, you have no friends. You don't know people. You know, people. It's hard to make friends because again, people only want to be friends with people that they think they're cool, speak proper language, can you know, be the same level. And I was none of that. So, yeah, it was really hard for me. Like I hated school. Absolutely fucking hated it.
Did you have any community outside of school?
No, I didn't have any community. During school time, I was living with my non-existent uncle.
The uncle who doesn't exist.
Yeah. And he used to bring a lot of like really men into the place that I was staying at, like, you know, which was so hard to live with. So I ended up removing myself from that situation due to his friends making some inappropriate approach. So yeah, then I end up living with a friend that I made. I became friend with the Congolese girl. So her family pretty much became my family for like almost 10 years. Yeah, and then yeah, that's the family that I end up. So I was pretty much very close to Congolese community rather than my own community through her. Yeah, Natalie.
Yeah, through living with her. So how would you like describe? I'm gonna do it again. You're probably gonna hate me. Using 3 words, or you can use more. How would you describe like the process of moving here as a refugee from like teenage you?
The process?
Yeah, just like everything from like.
I think it's really I don't know. I've probably said this word 10 times. Isolating, depressing, loss of culture.
Yeah.
That's more than 3 words, but I can go on. Yeah, so it's just really lonely and traumatizing, and can be very, I don't know, if you don't have the proper mental capacity, you can really go into a dark hole where you can't come from. Yeah, it will really end up affecting your life. I feel like you need to have a really good strength and determination to survive, because it is each person for themselves. Like Western world is very selfish. They're very individualized. So for you coming from a place where like the whole community is your family, to a place where everyone closed their door and everyone's just themselves.
Yeah, like everyone just looks after themselves.
Yeah, it makes it really hard for you to survive, because you're just like, I just can't seem to make it.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I just feel like a lot of, like now as a grown up, I can see that how that will affect other refugee kids who come here in the same situation as I did, and feeling lost, and then just go into that mental health hole where they can't come out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So finishing, do you think things started to change / get better when you finished high school, or?
No, I think things even got worse when I finished high school.
Okay, walk us through what happened after high school.
My God, what didn't happen? I think it happened. Things happened during the transition from the intensive English center to high school. where before I moved into high school, I was living with a family friend of my mom who knew my mom back home. Then I moved with her and her husband, who's actually assaulted me. Again, this is why I don't believe in being like, the God shit. Her husband was imam, very respected in the community, and he wanted to marry me and become his second wife, and then like he would just wait until his wife goes, like he was very intimidating as well. So some days he would just wait until his wife goes out, and then he would just call me into his room, like just try to groom me as much as possible. Telling me, if you become my first, like my second wife, or you do this, then I'll treat you nicely in the house. And then she had her own 3 kids or 4 kids with her previous husband. So so that was very traumatizing at the time. So obviously I ended up leaving that house because things were not getting better.
When you moved with them, so you left your uncle who you came to Australia with, and then you moved in with your mum's family.
Correct.
Friend,
yeah.
And her husband was just
very creep.
Inappropriate.
Very inappropriate.
Did she ever like blame you for the things that he did, or like what was the?
Well, I
was
didn't
it completely in the dark, or did she know and she just didn't want to?
I didn't.
Protect you?
I feel like there was so much fear in that house. It was very family violence home. He was the dominant one.
Yeah.
And then she couldn't say anything, and then it's that thing where women. And I see this a lot in our community, where women just stay in abusive relationship just in the sake of being married, and then raising kids, which is so sad.
Because it comes with like that social status of being a married woman.
That's literally,
regardless of what the marriage consists of.
Literally, that was literally that relationship. So for me to open my mouth, it was hard because I didn't have family, I didn't have friends, so they were only my friends. So I could open my mouth and say something, but then I knew that the blame will be just on me, saying that it was you, rather than the man. And he can deny it, which has happened so many times in my life, where people literally do things for me, and then when I come forward and they would deny it, and I'll just be sitting there like, what's the point talking? And then that was at that point where I'm like, I just can't say anything. So I end up leaving that house. Then I think I moved to my uncle for a while, and then after that I moved out of that house as well. Then I lived with my ex-best friend Natalie. So and then after the high school was over, then that's when I think a lot of the being lost and then being depressed started, actually, where I just didn't have any support around me. And I felt like I was useless. And then also the friends that I had around me made me feel like I was useless because they said nothing positive about me. And I remember them saying one time, like, you would never go to uni, you never achieve what I achieved. Pretty much simply called me illiterate. So, which really traumatized me for a long time, and then deemed myself confident. That was like 2010.
And was that because they knew you were a refugee and they weren't refugees? Or
they were refugees as well. They came as a refugee, but they came earlier, but they came as a family. And I didn't.
So they felt they were like in a better place than you because of that.
I didn't have family. So that was what it was.
So how did you end up going to uni?
How did I end up going to uni? So I always said people that you look at me, you be like, you treat me, you take me, or you be like, she's dumb, she's this. I think I always say to myself, I'm like, if you're trying to make in life, the suffering that I've been through, I always realize that sometimes, even within my family back home, I used to say, you treat me this way, I will act dumb, but I know this is not my last destination, and I will be something. And I think that's always stuck to me.
Powerful.
Like even back home, I never used to ask my mom for money. I used to hustle. Like I used to sell water in my head, go on the street in the heat weather, come from school, put water in my head, go and sell it to the truck drivers. make condensed milk lollies.
Was this when you were like 7?
Yeah, babe. This was 7 and then 10 as well.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, condensed milk, you know, those Nino milks and stuff like that. Put a bit of sugar in there, mix it up, sell it teaspoon at school. That's literally what I do. Because I didn't want to ask anyone, because no one gave me a sense of welcome into their arm. Like, you know, so I just made it my mission to just always give myself what I can give myself and not to ask anyone for help. And I think that's why as an adult I don't ask anyone for help. And it has its good day and it has its bad day. But yeah, so in Australia that was hardest part. Living around people and then being dumb, but I can see everything that they do to me or what they're trying to do to me. Yeah.
Wait, so did we say when you went to uni?
So when I decided to go to uni, so that's why I was gonna come back to when I went to uni. So my uni started 2012. So I finished high school 2009. I went to TAFE. I did certificate 3 in aged care. It's for 6 months. I'm Macquarie TAFE in Sydney. And after that, I got my first job at RSL Life Care in Nairobi in Sydney, September of 2010. And I think that was the time my hustle life literally started.
Not when you were 7 making condensed milk lollies?
Babe, that was time too, but I think that I still had the hustle in me, waking up like 3 a.m. and then catching 1 bus, 2 bus, and then a train and another bus and get to work by 7 a.m.
Whoa. And then what time would you finish work?
3 p.m. and I get home at like 6 o'clock.
And then I guess you just like eat and sleep and do it all again.
Oh, sometimes I don't even sleep.
Wait, why?
Yeah,
what were you doing?
because look, you know, when you're overtired.
Yeah, and your body's just like
Yeah, so that was me. I was just like working, and I didn't even know where my money went. To be honest, if you ask me, because it was just being taken out of my hand by people who I was like, you know, assumed to be family, but were not. Yeah. So that was my hustle. That was when it started, 2010, and then. 2010, and I worked all the way to 2016 at that particular place. And through that, obviously, I started applying for other roles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Into the disability sector. Then I went to uni. That's when the uni came in about 2012. Then I applied at ACU to do bachelor in nursing.
I was gonna say so you did like 2 out of 3 years. Didn't you?
Yeah, but I just could not do it. It wasn't me.
Girl, I could have told you that before you did it. Why did you think?
It's funny because my best friend was like, that was the stupidest decision you ever made. I'm like, why didn't you stop me? It's like, I didn't want to stop you. You need to go through it for yourself.
Sometimes people just need to go through the journey and figure it out on their own. Because you wouldn't have listened. If you had said that was stupid, you really wouldn't have listened.
Absolutely. I thought it would be like insult.
Yeah, you'd be like, hater. Yeah. See me win.
Yeah. She was like, you would have been the awful nurse. And then she's a registered nurse herself. She was like, I knew you'd be awfulness, but I made you go through that so you understand. I'm like, yeah, fair enough.
Why did you want to be a nurse? Or why did you think?
I think I wanted to be a nurse. I think I wanted to be a nurse because I was doing the aged care at the time at the nursing home with dementia
so it,
patients.
Like, made sense to just continue on.
Just continue on. But then it was not me. Like the math was not my thing.
The medicine, I've seen the medicine maths that they have to do that. I said, couldn't be me.
Get someone else to do it.
Literally. Yeah. So when did you decide that social work would be what you would do?
When did I decide? I decided social work was what I wanted to do when I went to Europe. I came back, and then this was through my ex-best friend as well, Natalie. Where I remember one time she she opened the door, and I asked her what job she was doing, and then she was like, "Don't worry about it. You will never be able to do it or study it because you're that dumb." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, no worries." She was doing community welfare, by the way.
Yeah.
Which was 3 years course. So no worries. So I'm like, oh, cool, no worries. That kept in my mind for she said this to me in 2012, I believe. But I did my uni course 2016 when I came back from Europe. So I decided, and this is after I did a diploma in disability. So I'm like, maybe I want to do something with social work. Let me see if I like it. Then I jump into community welfare, which was 3 years, because I'm like, I don't think I can do 4 years school. Then I started working at one of the jobs, and I met this me and him were friends to a kid. and he was doing social work at the time, and then he asked me, "What are you studying?" I'm like, then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm studying community welfare, Western Sydney University." He's like, "Oh, I'm going there too. I'm doing social work. Why don't you do social work?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if I can do it." And he was just like, "You're gonna do it." So he literally changed my course, a work laptop. Also, this bitch didn't want to be friends with me at the first, but then now he calls me and tells me he missed me. So he's gay. So there you go. We're both oppressed. So we linked in like that. I'm like,
we marginalized groups connecting.
yeah. So yeah, and through that I met him, and yeah, did uni through that. So yeah, pretty much he proofread a lot of my work. Bless.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, so encouragement and all that. Yeah, that's literally how I did it, and I finished my degree 2018.
Nice. How do you think your story has influenced how you practice as a social worker?
Because I have that lived experience, I understand from people who like I have more patience, and I have more understanding, and I'm a bit sensitive as well, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But also I give people space, and I'm more caring, because I just wish that people would have cared for me the way that I care for other people in my sector at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just feel like if I was giving a bit of love and a bit of patience, a bit of understanding and checking in, I would have been, like, I'm okay where I am, but I would have been more connected with myself and the people around me, rather than distancing myself and then just doing everything by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's just more patient, understanding. I care for people. Like my story, I just want, like, some kids, sometimes I tell my kids, I'm like, I know you, like I cannot understand when they're frustrated, because I'm like, I know this is not the life that you want, and you can make something out of it, because I was once there. It's easier to say that, because I know that when I'm saying that, I do mean what I'm saying, and because I've been there.
Yeah.
And if I see something and I know that they want it, and I know that they're capable of doing it, so giving them that push makes a lot different for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you most proudest of having achieved in your life? And that can be a number of things, doesn't have to be one.
I think my proudest achievement in life is just being true to myself. Beside what I went through in life, abuse, neglect, suffering, I am still gentle.
Yeah.
I am still caring. I'm still naive as fuck. Like, because I just feel like no one, like, everyone tried to, like, break me. Yeah, people have, like, I was broken, but I still got up again with the same heart, and then same caring, and giving people chances. Still, like, I'm just a lot softer. Yeah, I think that's, like, yeah.
I actually think this about you often. I'm like, if there is someone who does not look like what they have been through, it is you. And it is so inspiring, because it's like, you just still believe in people. You still have so much love to give. You're still so soft and gentle. And that's just such a beautiful...
I just can't hate. I don't know. I try to hate. I can't hate. Like, it's just not in me. Like, I can just sit there and be like, I hate you, I hate you. But I always don't want people to feel how I was made feel. Like, you know, my sister used to use a fucking tire to beat me, like wooden stick, and my mom did the same thing, like spat on by my family, you know, made to sleep on the sofa or made to sleep on the floor. I remember sleeping on the corner some days, because I didn't want to make noise, you know, and that's funny, because I go to therapy now, I'll tell my therapist one time, like, when I used to live in Sydney, I'm like, my small bedroom is where I find comfort. And then she was like, why is that? And I never thought about that, because it's because people made me feel like a piece of shit. So I used to go in the corner and then sit there, and not making any move was more of me feeling safe, because they won't know that I'm there.
Yeah.
So as an adult, I find comfort in tighter space, and then just to hold myself without anyone holding me. And then like going back, just like, I don't know. I hope that I never change. I hope that I stay this way.
I hope so too.
Regardless of what I go through in life, I'm always like, hopeful in life to be someone's safe space and my safe space. And then
that's a big one.
Yeah. And I think that's why I find comfort the most, and then appreciation for life, and then just be thankful for where I am.
Yeah.
And then still give people a chance. Like, honestly, I don't hate. I hate hating. Like, I can say, be like, I don't want nothing to do with my family, and I will say this, I will say again. If my family was my family, I probably would not have never talked to them. They're the fucking number one causes of my anxiety and my depression. But I still look after them. But still, sometimes I do acknowledge that I have to block them to just give myself some sanity and peace.
Yeah. There's boundaries.
Yeah, and that's okay sometimes. But I wouldn't I'm just who I am. You probably hurt me, like, you can come back tomorrow. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. And that concludes the first part of my interview with Fatu. I am so grateful that she's trusted me with her story. We had a great time. I think she has been so insightful and just shared some really great gems. If you love the episode, share it with friends, family, to your Instagram. Tag us on Instagram at undone.thepodcast. And we'll see you next week for next week's episode.